Hello everybody. Well, it's been a while since we've had a new story with Miss Heald, and I think it's about time we caught up with each other. I'm delighted to have been given a new book from the reader at Calderstones Park. Here it is. This is Storm Hound, which is a legendary tale. Amazing pun. And it's written by Claire Fayers. I'll read the blurb on the back to you. Myths, legends, stories. They are all words for facts that people have forgotten. Storm of Odin is the youngest storm hound of the wild hunt, and he can't wait to haunt the lightning-filled skies with his fearsome howls. But on his very first hunt, Storm finds he can't keep up and falls to earth, landing on a road just outside of Abergavenny in Wales. Enter 12-year-old Jessica Price, who adopts a cute puppy from the rescue centre. And suddenly, a number of strange people seem very interested in her and her new pet, Storm. People who seem to know a lot about magic. I'm going to read part of the story where Jessica has just adopted Storm of Odin, who is definitely a member of the Wild Hunt. He is a storm hound, and yet he appears to have taken the form of a very cute little puppy. He's just been taken home and is being allowed out into the garden for the very first time. Daylight, grass, and a tree, an oak no less, its branches stretching up crookedly. Trying to touch the clouds, Storm gave a happy yap and darted off outdoors. This was more like it. Still a bit small compared to the vast forests and pastures of Anwen, but the grass sprang nicely under his paws. There was a strip of brown earth like a moat all the way around the outside. I wonder if that's where the humans bury their treasure, Storm thought, and went to investigate. Ben said something about flower beds, which Storm ignored. The two humans sat on the back step and watched as he dug for treasure. He found a few plants and tossed them out of the way, then sat back, planting. He could see mountains from here, a low peak rising up in the distance and 3 hills in front of it, which, if he squinted, looked a bit like the paw of a giant dog. He knew the mortal world was indifferent to the world of magic, but the sight cheered him a little, as if the landscape had made an effort to welcome him. Storm ran back to Jessie and pawed at her leg to get her attention. Why are you sitting? We shall go hunting in the mountains. I've sent a photo to Mum, Ben said, looking at a small rectangle with a shiny front. She said she'll ring us in a minute. Who is this Mum person? Why isn't she here to greet me? He almost looks like he's trying to tell us something, Jessie said. Storm sighed. A bell rang inside the house. Was that the dinner gong? Storm ran to the door hopefully, but no, the sound had already stopped. Jessie, Ben, it's your mum, Jessie's dad called. Jessie and Ben both jumped up and dashed past Storm into the house. Storm wondered whether to follow them, but he hadn't finished smelling the whole garden yet. And then he heard a hiss behind him and turned to see a cat standing on the fence. Storm ran to the middle of the garden. Begone, foul enemy! The cat didn't move. A skinny tabby, fur thinning with age, she stared at him with faded green eyes. This is my territory, dog. Don't go leaving your stink all over it. Storm stopped still, not quite sure how to respond. The cats in Odin's halls would never dare to come near a storm hound, never mind address one in that impertinent fashion. But in the world of humans, he and this cat were about the same size, and the cat had the advantage of claws. The cat hissed, a sound that seemed to be made up of malice and icy wind. Storm stood up straight, his shadow spreading to swallow the grass. I am am Storm of Odin, Storm Hound of the Wild Hunt. How dare you speak to me like that?" The cat watched his shadow spread and started to clean behind one ear with her paw. "Don't bother me, Storm Hound. I've watched the Wild Hunt pass by in the dead of night. It doesn't impress me." Storm's bottom hit the grass in surprise. "Are you sure that we're talking about the same Wild Hunt? Odin's hunt, the hunt of Orn? Hounds and horses from the other world riding through the storm clouds." The cat stared at him through narrowed eyes. "I am a cat, descended from gods. I don't need to run in a pack and snap at lightning to feel important." This was beyond insolence. Storm tensed, his coat prickling. "I could chase you up a tree." The cat dismissed the oak tree with a flick of her whiskers. "Yes, you probably could. Maybe I'll let you. Then I can sit in the branches and laugh as your humans scold you." Storm turned to look at Jessie, who was standing just inside the back door of the house. Something pressed to her ear. "She serves me," he said. "Why would she scold me? And anyway, you're a cat. Mortal dogs chase cats. It is the order of things." "Yes, but for some reason humans don't tend to like it," the cat replied. "You have a lot to learn about being a puppy, young disciple." "What's that supposed to mean?" "In this world, you have a lot to learn, and I can teach you. For a start, you should keep your magic hidden. Most humans wouldn't know magic if it bit them, but there are still some who can sense the power of the other world. You don't want to attract their attention." Storm looked at his shadow on the grass and tried to pull the edges of it back towards him. It didn't move. "Not like that," the cat said. "You need to imagine that you're an ordinary puppy." "I am not an ordinary puppy," Storm objected. Still, his shadow shrank back a little. The cat stood up and arched her back. "Better. You learn fast." "I'm not learning at all. I don't take orders from cats." "Chase me then, and see what happens. Or I shall sit here on the fence in the sun, and you can stay in the garden and play with your ball, Storm Hound." She put so much scorn into that last word that Storm felt a growl rise in his throat and turn into a fury of barking. The cat darted off the fence and streaked towards the tree. Storm gave chase. He was Storm of Odin, on the heels of an arrogant animal who was about to discover the unwisdom of angering a storm hound. The cat clawed up the tree trunk out of reach. Storm tried to follow and found that his useless paws refused to take flight. He crashed into the bottom of the tree trunk, barking in frustration as the cat laughed. Storm saw Jessie lower the thing from her ear. "I have cornered the cat," Storm barked. "Fetch her down so that I may teach her a lesson." The next moment, a lady burst out of the house next door, hollering like a Valkyrie. Something hit Storm on the back of the head. He spun round with a yelp of surprise. She'd thrown a slipper at him. It lay in the grass where it had bounced off his head. Storm pounced on the offending object, sinking his teeth into it and instantly regretting it when his mouth was filled with fluff and the stink of old lady feet. "Bad dog!" the Valkyrie lady yelled. "Leave Nutmeg alone!" Storm paused. "Nutmeg? Is that your name?" "It's what she calls me." The cat turned her head. "Oh, look out. Here comes your human." Storm looked in time to see a small whirlwind shoot out of the house. The old Valkyrie lady swung round, her mouth falling open in surprise. Storm dropped the disgusting tasting slipper and sat back, his tail thumping the grass. Jessie could have been a Valkyrie herself. Her lightning scent blazed to life, filling the garden. The old woman waved her remaining slipper. "You need to put your dog under control. That's bad enough I've got to put up with children making a racket without dogs attacking my cat." Jessie's scent sharpened. "Storm wasn't attacking your cat?" "I was, actually, but I wasn't going to hurt her. Did you see me almost climb the tree?" Jessie tossed the chewed slipper back over the fence and scooped Storm up into her arms. "You're a very rude little girl," the old woman shouted. "And you're a very rude lady," Jess shot back. Storm watched over her shoulder as the cat scrabbled down the tree and dashed across the garden to the fence. "That's right. Run away. Well done, human servant. I will tell Odin of your faithfulness." Jessie carried Storm into the house and placed him on the cold floor. "Storm, you can't go chasing people's cats. Mrs. Williams already hates us." She wasn't angry at him, Storm knew. She was angry at the old woman. But even so, it weighed heavier than Odin's wrath. His fury blazed and was gone in a moment. But Jessie's had a disappointment at its core. It shouldn't matter to him. He was a hound of the wild hunt and far beyond the disappointments of mere mortals. But even so, he put his head on his paws and whined. Jessie bent to stroke his head. "It's okay," she said. "Just don't do it again. I'm going to call Mum back." Her scent filled with the sharp salt of tears. This Mum person had upset her, Storm thought, and he felt his coat bristle. He followed Jessie back through the house. "My turn," Jessie told Ben, taking the black thing from him and putting it to her ear. "Mum, did Ben tell you about the puppy? When are you coming to visit?" "I chased a cat up a tree," Storm told Ben, but of course Ben didn't understand. "Good boy, Storm," Jessie's dad said. He wasn't a good boy. He chased a cat, which was not allowed, and angered the Valkyrie lady next door. Storm thumped his tail on the floor uncertainly. He really didn't understand humans at all. Well, I hope you enjoyed that bit of the story. And if you did, perhaps this might be a book that you'd like to buy. It's certainly a winning read and a very engaging tale as well. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again soon with another story.